KUAW.org or go to the TuneIn app and search KUAW. Listen to us. We're on 24 hours a day. That's KUAW Radio, Kansas City's global community radio station. And this is what you hear every day from noon till 2. Don't miss the Cheryl Underwood Show.
It's the jump off. Welcome to the Cheryl Underwood Show. Hot topics. We discussing anything. It's a go. We going live now. Got a favorite song calling to the show. Is he ready? Yep. 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
That's what I'm talking about. Cheryl Underwood Radio. It is a great
That's
day.
it. Cheryl, I was so excited to see two great stars out here, to come back home. Both are from North Carolina. One is from Fayetteville, and Chris Paul is from the Winston-Salem area. But they came to Fayetteville State at HBCU and marched with the kids to take them to go vote. It was wonderful to see our brothers, encourage people to vote. It's very nice, very nice.
Fantastic. Big Frost, you say what?
Anytime a celebrity comes to Fayetteville is a great honor. And especially for this cause. I thought it was absolutely fantastic, and we love that kind of thing here in Fayetteville.
You are listening to KUAW Radio, home of the all-new Jamal Bakes Show, and I'm Jamal Bakes, and thank you so very much for listening to the station bringing you talk, news, entertainment that you won't get anywhere else. KUAW, in, of, and about our community.
This is comedian Janelle Banks, and you are listening to KUAW, Kansas City.
This weekend on Blues Time in the City.
If you didn't see him, you'd think he was a black dude playing.
That's the late, great Bo Diddley. We went to the Blues Archive Vault and downloaded some Bo. Very interesting what he's talking about this weekend. And Bobby Rush's birthday is Tuesday the 10th. He will perform one of his past.
Good afternoon and welcome once again to Wave Your Grades. Today is Saturday, November 14th, and we are honored to have a very special guest in the house with us, Brother Joel Bailey. And before the formal introduction, let us just say that Wave Your Grades welcomes you. My name is Carl Boyd, and it is always important that I make the disclaimer as the program starts in honor of those who serve and have served. I am a civilian working with students, asking that young people dedicate their excellence to those who have served. And so it is, Wave Your Grades suggests that it is well when there are those who say thank you by waving the flag, but we ask our American students to go beyond that. Wave your community service.
Absolutely.
Wave your excellent grades.
Yes, sir.
Wave your leadership.
Yes, sir.
Wave your community activism.
Awesome.
Wave your 180-degree turn from a life that was not going in the direction that it should. And so we say, wave your grades.
Wave your grades.
That's where the theme song comes from.
Awesome.
Played this afternoon by our honorary producer engineer, Louis George Walker, who is the founder of KUAW.org.
Yes.
And KUAW stands for knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. KUAW.org, and it is particularly gracious for Louis George Walker to indeed do that in behalf of our producer, announcer, co-host, and engineer, DeQuay Wilson, who is not with us today. We look forward to her return, praying that all is well with her and her family. She is a courageous young lady taking on extra duty in her life's path, and we appreciate her for that. Brother Joel Bailey, before we get into the discussion, let me also suggest that our prayers go forward to our nation, this world, for those who are going through the pandemic.
Yes.
We are praying for the souls of those lost, their loved ones, their families, and their friends. And Brother Bailey, Brother Walker, we are praying for this nation, brother. We are praying at this time that there will be a reawakening of adults in the room at some point.
Well, please stand up.
And so it is. Once again, my name is Carl Boyd. I'm your host on Wave Your Grades. We will get to the business at hand. And once again, so thankful. And by the way, when I look at Joel Bailey's business card, where it says Footprints, it also says Heroes Home Gate. Let's start the program by your introduction and explanation of what this is all about.
Okay. First of all, I want to say thanks to Mr. Walker, to KUAW Radio. Always to you, Mr. Boyd, for your service that you provide in the community and
thank you, sir.
Reaching out and keeping hope alive.
Praise God.
In
Thank you.
Time. Yes, sir. So,
thank you.
My name is Joel Bailey. I'm the director here at Heroes Homegate for Veterans, and Heroes Homegate was started by a gentleman who was my mentor also. His name was Wayne White. Wayne was a Vietnam veteran that was also addicted to crack cocaine and heroin, morphine, and a lot of that addiction, of course, started when he was over serving our country. One of the things that Wayne wanted to do when he started Footprints, our first love, started in 2002 at our outreach center, which is on 4501 Truce. And Wayne was a big advocate of getting people clean and sober. His approach about getting people clean and sober had a unique spin to it. We had a spiritual foundation to that. And
thank you.
So we had the what we call the Life Recovery Bible, which is real big. And
is that right?
Yes, yeah. So we have a 12-step program, and that's where I started. Just for the record, I'm a person of recovery too, also.
Yes,
so,
sir.
As you was talking about that 180-degree component there,
yes,
I can relate dearly to that. And some people ask why I do what I do the way I do it, is because I know that people can change. I know the help that people need. I know what it looks like to be homeless also, and to be lost all hope.
Man, now say Wayne's last name again, please.
White.
Wayne White. Wayne White is deceased? Or?
He's deceased. He was my mentor and many other mentors. Wayne was well known, not only here in Kansas City, but across the state of Missouri, in the halls of Jefferson City, and across the country. He was a great writer, great supporter of, we call him the old timers.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he was an old timer.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, so before I talk about anything, talk about Footprints, what I'm talking about him would be due justice. Justice to not to acknowledge him as being my mentor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Wayne had recovery 2002. In 2007, he got an opportunity to start housing veterans that was addicted, and that's where the name Heroes Homegate came in.
Outstanding.
Yeah, so Heroes Homegate, Wayne wanted to be able to help veterans that was addicted like him.
Now, this is interesting because apparently his work predates a lot of what's going on now.
Oh, yeah. Wayne, you see, and these other organizations are doing great work and helping people, but Wayne was doing this way before then.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he was doing this. We're in the 3rd district here. We're here in the district with Brandon Ellington. Also, we're in the district here with Melissa Robinson.
That's right.
Yeah, and Brandon has been by to see us, and I'm putting an invitation out there for Melissa Robinson to be able to come out and see.
Yes, indeed.
That we are carrying a torch that was started in 2002 for recovery. It's done really it helped. What you say, the city, the neighborhoods, the block, the state, and the nation. When you get people into recovery.
Man, that is so wonderful. And let me just ask this right quick of Louis George Walker. At one point, I know that Brandon Ellington had a program, did he not, on KUAW? Or and he still does.
Oh,
So this
okay.
gentleman was just talking about Brandon Visit. There you go.
Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah.
So I'm going to talk to Brandon and
Sure.
ask if you don't mind, if he would have you come on.
I would love that.
And talk
I
about
would
that
love
relationship.
Brandon's been a big supporter of what we've done at Heroes Homegate. This will go back a little bit about the history. Our first house that Wayne started was at 3221 Olive, which is right there, not far from Metropolitan Church.
Sure
right there,
isn't.
behind that one-way street right
sure
there.
is.
So
yeah.
they were there. Wayne had that house probably about 3 years before he passed. I eventually came in, started at one level, and moved up to being a director. We were able to get a new contract. We were leasing a house there, paying $1,100 a month plus utilities.
My God.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's
Come
a lot.
on.
So right, for a small nonprofit organization. So one of the things that we were reaching out for, a board member from Kansas City Rescue Mission, at that time, that was the name of it, but it's been rebranded to Shelter KC now.
Okay.
That's the name of it now. They had a house that was at 2015 East 35th Street.
That's where I met you.
Yeah, that's where you met me at. And so we were able to purchase that house.
Okay.
From them. And they blessed us, gave us a great deal on the house. And of course, we didn't have all the costs, and we were able to take the cost, the money that we spent at the other house, and able to put it back into our employees and the people there and into the veterans.
Man, that is so wonderful.
Yeah, so from there, we just recently moved to 2017 Linwood, and that's the old Emerson apartment building.
Okay.
We have the first 2 floors in that building, and so we were serving on 10 veterans at that facility.
You said 2017 Linwood.
Right off the highway.
When
there,
is
right?
Oh, okay.
The old Emerson apartment building right there.
Okay. All right.
They used to call it New Jack City.
Hold, get your microphone.
Yeah.
This is good stuff.
When I was a young man, was 18 or 19, and first getting out of the house, that was the first place I rented a studio apartment.
Oh, really? Wow.
There you go. So
See?
you are eminently familiar.
Yeah. In 71.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
My goodness.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
That's good stuff. Yeah. So good tie-in right there. Yeah. We I think, and then before that, of course, back in the day, it was a hotel or something back in there. We
Yes,
did a little
indeed.
research on it. That place at the time, they shut it down. A lot of not so good stuff was going on there.
Yes, indeed.
Clemens Real Estate, Clemens, Aaron, his son, his daughter, Margie.
Okay.
They bought that building and they rehabbed the inside of that building.
Wow.
And we had been working as an organization looking for a new place to grow because the VA had wanted us to enlarge the number of veterans we serve.
Wow.
Going back to 2015, we only served men.
Yes.
But we wanted to be able to serve men and women and increase the number of veterans that we would be able to serve.
When I visited with you, I don't think I saw any females.
No, it wasn't.
At that time.
It wasn't. It wasn't built. It wasn't safe enough for
Exactly.
to have women in there. And one of the things that, of course, you want to be able to have for women to be able to feel safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Women has a tendency to not ask for help as it is, and to put them in a situation that's not safe.
Exactly.
In our work. So one of the things is making sure that we have a place that's safe for them.
Brother Joel Bailey, we are talking about Heroes Homegate Footprints.
Yes, sir.
And one of the things that you make me mindful of is, this is November 14th.
Correct.
This very week, between Monday and Wednesday, I guess I heard that in the state of Oregon, there are a number of records that might go so far as being expunged for those who have been convicted of even heroin use. And I had heard about the marijuana, I had heard about cocaine.
And cocaine too.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I mentioned that, and sure would like your take on it, is when I was privileged to walk through your facility, I was looking at some brothers who were not only comfortable, but they were friendly. They were congenial.
Right.
You would have to tell me who among them had dealt with an addiction.
Right.
In the history of this nation, in the history of our country, you could not number the vast population of people whose lives have been ruined.
Right.
Because they didn't get a chance for the kind of services you render.
Absolutely. And I talked to one of my staff who's also a recovery, and he started off with Wayne, and he talked to some of the veterans that are here now, and he's often shared with them that you guys are getting an opportunity that a lot of other veterans didn't get, or everyday people don't get. So the VA has done a better job. I feel they do a great job at housing and working with veterans that have been afflicted, not only with the addiction part, but we could talk about this later. Is also the behavioral health, the mental illness, and also
absolutely
the suicide. VA has highest number of suicide amongst them, and so being able to understand those different dynamics, and when you're talking about a dual diagnosed person, that's a pretty heavy load there.
Let me tell you, and for our listeners who have heard me before, I pray that they will indulge me. I don't seek to boast. The singing group I sang with was called the Teachers Edition. All 5 of us taught school.
Wow.
And we recorded at High Records in Memphis, Tennessee. That was Al Green's studio.
Back in my crib.
You know about...
I'm from Tennessee, yeah.
Well, you know about High Records, 308
yes,
Poplar Avenue.
Poplar Avenue, yes,
Willie
sir.
Mitchell was our producer, and he was Al Green's producer.
Yeah.
But we were privileged to do USO shows. We were in Tokyo, Okinawa, Guam, the Philippines, Korea, Vietnam during wartime, and Thailand. But when we went to Vietnam, we were there for 2.5 weeks.
Wow.
And I cannot tell you how wonderfully military personnel took care of civilians, those of us who were from the world and we were performing.
Wow.
Believe me, we got the utmost care. We were protected, and they allowed us a GS-14 rank.
Wow.
Bachelor office quarters, the general's jet, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And in those 2.5 weeks, we had some encounters that were a little frightening from time to time. The reason I mention this is because of Wayne White and others. We were there for 2.5 weeks. Now imagine TDY, 13 months. You're going into the bush. You don't know if you're going to return.
That's right.
Someone next to you is literally, and forgive me, Brother Bailey, blown away.
Absolutely.
One of the things that they suggested to us was, however it manifests, there were drugs available. And when I thought about 2.5 weeks under pristine condition, protected by those who don't know what tonight is going to bring.
Right.
I cannot tell you how appreciative our group was, how appreciative I've been over the years, and that was 1971. It was April.
Wow.
And the reason I remember is because when we went to Bangkok, they had the water festival in Bangkok, April 13th, 14th, and 15th. Yeah. But my brother, I cannot thank you enough.
Yes, sir.
And one of the reasons that you are so important to what Stoots for Boots, that's our organization, tries to do, is because, and please give your take on this, we are looking at a divided society.
Correct.
We're looking at a violent society. And even in our own community, those who don't respect life enough to show those who have served how important you are. When you look around the landscape, what do you think about where we are and where we're going?
Well, that's a good, good lead in there. Going on with today's political environment that we have going on, of course, you can see and hear that. I can hear and see that when I serve the veterans, you got a mix of black and white and female variety of other minorities that's mixed in there.
And you don't ask them their party
We don't
affiliation.
talk about that, but you can hear it sometimes, of course, when they're watching TV, when they're outside smoking cigarette or just talking. And so our job sometimes is we have to referee some, behaviors and conversation. We don't tell them they can't talk about politics or religion, but we, if we get to the point where it appears that it's getting out of hand, then we ask them to just pull back in that component. But yes, we do see that. And back to your other point about the violence and the spirit of the man or the woman, going back to Wayne White, and I'm going to go back to the Life Recovery Bible. And I tell people, you might not have the same belief system, whether, it be Jesus Christ or Muslim or whatever. I encourage them, when we get an opportunity to, without breaking the government guidelines, is to lock into that spiritual man or that spiritual woman.
Come on.
And you have to be able, one of the key components of our recovery is the cornerstone, is our spiritual man.
Yes, sir.
The spiritual man and spiritual woman. Now the challenge with some people is now you question where they get their spiritual foundation from, whether it be on radio or a group of them. Some people have lost faith in some of the different things in there.
God.
But I encourage each individual that's out there to, as they say in the 12-step program, step 3 is to be able to find a God, to your understanding.
My God.
And I used to I grew up down south, with Southern Church, be it all Sunday, and I used to always talk about my mom and them's God, my dad and them God.
Yeah.
And somebody asked me one day, they was like, well, who's your God?
Come on.
And it hit me.
My God.
They were like, you living off somebody else's God.
Yeah.
Do you know who God is for yourself?
Wow.
And I like, wow, that stopped me. And then also it helped me also with judging, because there were times that I had seen people of age or whatever, and I said, oh, they ain't no Christian, or they're not of faith. Look what they just did. But I also learned as I got older that also people make mistakes. People, men and women, have the right to be forgiven.
Matthew 7:1.
Yeah, and so I think those things need to be pointed out. If I start judging people, and this go with me. If someone was to just judge me from my past,
come on.
Yeah, where would I be?
Man, I am so with you on that. Matthew 7:1 says, "Judge not, lest ye be judged."
Right.
And when I look around, there are a number of things I might be disappointed with.
Sure.
But if I should just reflect on my life,
right,
things that I've done,
yes, sir,
and people who have forgiven me, or when God has forgiven me,
yes,
then I could be what some people refer to as tolerant. I'm reluctant to use the word tolerance because that suggests superiority. Who am I to tolerate somebody else?
But I think that tolerance and being able to work with other people, the spirit of that comes from God, though.
Praise God.
To be able to work with people,
yes,
because
sir.
it would be hard to serve a person if they didn't have the same walk or the same talk that I have. We have to be able to serve and meet people where they're at.
Yes, sir.
And that's a big thing. Starting off there, you got a lot of hurts and harms that's been done to going back to the 70s. My dad did not talk about the military.
Thank you.
He did not like the military. He hated everything that happened to him because of the racism and things that went on with him.
Yes, sir.
So those are reals.
Exactly.
Those are reals.
Exactly.
And the way the Vietnam veterans were treated when they came back over, those are real things. And so,
ooh, that is so true.
So when people say, you don't know what happened to me, and so I've learned to also to embrace things that I don't know. And I share with them when they come into it. I said, hey, I apologize for what happened to you in there, and I don't know what happened there. But starting today, here at Heroes Homegate, the Footprints, we're going to start a new life for you.
Well, one of the things that's going to be important during the course of this program is that we do this at least 3 times, but let's do it for the first time now. Someone interested can get in touch with you how, and who are those who should get in touch with you?
So if a person that can get into for Heroes Homegate for veterans, they must have an honorable or general discharge.
Okay.
Yeah, and so they can call me at 816-863-8224, or they could call the office at 816-569-5640. But the way for a person to actually get help, if they're homeless and really want help, Monday through Friday, they can go to the VA and they can go to the 9th floor, which they do an intake.
Okay.
And the reason why you do this intake, and sometimes people wonder how they can help veterans and how do you help veterans, and those are important questions.
Mm-hmm.
One is the VA will be able to say, hey, this guy, first of all, is a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
You get to find out if he's general or honorable discharge. And then you find out if does he have primary care? Is he behavioral health and mental health problems? Because then from there you'll know has he been taking his medication or not taking his medication.
Ah, my goodness.
A person might have been out there and been homeless and has seizure problems and ain't taking medication. That's a nightmare. Same thing with blood pressure, things of that nature. If you're paranoid, schizophrenic, or bipolar, and you have a combination of you know, the physical and the mental, and you have a person that was been medicated and now you're not on medication, and you replace that supposedly sometimes with drugs and alcohol, then that means they need to be reset, meaning that they might come in and need to go to detox. Some might need to go to the 10th floor, and that's stable for mental health.
Now, when I hear you, it sounds as if you have a good relationship with the VA.
Yes. Our contract is with the VA. Matter of fact, since you brought that up, we just got our new 5-year contract with the VA.
Congratulations.
Yes, sir. We were at 10, and now we have a contract for 25 veterans, which now include women now too.
Yes, sir.
We've added much staff. We have I have 2 case managers now that we hired. We now have a full-time cook that works there now.
Yes,
Those
sir.
are things that we didn't have, and what that does is it gives us as a staff to spend more time on doing clinical and treatment plans and working on the needs of the veterans, because a lot of veterans, when they come in, they got a lot of needs.
Okay.
Some veterans have the capabilities to what I call self-starters. Then there are some you just got to walk through with everything with them.
Now, one of the things that can happen as it relates, and I'll have you repeat the numbers, to family members. I'm a civilian, but if there were someone in my family I wanted to recommend, I could call that number too.
Yes, you could call that number and get the information and do some little groundwork, footwork.
Yes, sir.
To find out and bring it back, because a person sometimes, depending on where they're in their state of mind, they're not ready to even listen or make a phone call.
Sure.
Or if they happen to be in there, you can maybe do speakerphone where they can just listen while you're talking to the VA, so they can at least hear, and you just do the advocating for them. At least and back to the veterans that have lost distrust with the VA or the system, period. So we have to advocate for those people. We got to, once again, meet them where they're at. Just, no matter how many times they're falling, we have to be back to help them.
I am so glad to hear you say that, and I'll tell you why. And you've heard this over and over again, no doubt. You just alluded to it. I hear so often negative reviews of VA or the VA hospital, and it is important for someone to know that there is access here.
There is access there, and I'm pretty strong about being able to point out the positive things. I'm not saying, once again, I won't say that everything is perfect at the VA, but I will say that from what I work with and the people that I work with,
there you go,
they do a great job of working with homeless veterans. Now, we all are responsible as a man and woman to be responsible for the resources that we are given to.
Yes, sir.
And if a person don't be a good steward of the resources that's put before them, that's not the VA's fault.
Now, as it relates to footprints.
Yes, sir.
Heroes Homegate. Is there a particular time frame if I were to enroll? Do I have to look forward to de-enrolling in X number of months or something like that?
Yeah, good question. So when a veteran comes in, we first thing we do is we do an orientation.
Okay.
Meaning that we talk about the guidelines and rules. You do have a curfew there. Good. You do have chores there. There is some order there. A person can go and come as they like when they get to Heroes Homegate. We don't have people just going to program just to be going. One of the great things about Footprints Heroes Homegate is that we don't have a cookie cutter approach.
Okay.
Everybody's different there. We don't just have everybody just going to a meeting, going to a group. Everybody's not in recovery. Everybody's not an addict.
All right.
Everybody don't have behavioral health issue.
Good point.
So you can't blanket everybody.
Yeah.
And that's one of the worst things to do that I found out working with veterans is if you lock them and put them all in the same bucket. They don't all have the same issues.
Absolutely.
Once again, you got to meet them where they're at. Time frame. A veteran can be there up to 6 months, and an extension would be based on the veteran's situation.
Okay.
Some people come in with different challenges, maybe like they from another state, they was born in another country, and they don't have their birth certificate. Nothing happens without ID. We know that.
Yes, sir.
So first thing first is if you don't have ID, we got to get birth certificate.
Absolutely.
With COVID right now, it's really been challenging to be able to get information, and the way we have to learn how to serve the veterans based on, because you can't walk in the Social Security office now. You can't just drive up to Topeka. If you're born in Kansas City, it makes it a lot easier because we got the health department. You can get your birth certificate, and each state and each city has different guidelines for birth certificate, but our average time for a veteran to get housed is around 4 to 5 months.
I see. Let me do this because it's just about 1:30 on the clock, and we generally take a break. And what I would refer to this break is an announcement. So I'll just make the announcement because we are brought to you by the W. Norman Group, Willie Norman. And if you want to discuss the 5 wealth gaps and how to close the 5 wealth gaps, you may contact Willie Norman, 816-525-5805. Willie Norman, the W. Norman Group, and we are proud that they present to us Wave Your Grades on KUAW.org. Knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. The voice that you are hearing is that of Brother Joel Bailey, director, Heroes Homegate, Footprints. And we have been talking about your eligibility as a veteran with an honorable or general discharge.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
And this is extremely important. Brother Bailey is happy to go back over these kinds of things. But let me tell you something you made me mindful of. And, brother, I thank you so much for helping our listeners to understand that you are not targeted by your situation and have to be in a dire situation. And I'll tell you what it reminded me of. I had the opportunity in 1983 to work for the Urban League with Director Bill Clark. And we had a program called Newcomers. And Newcomers was simply allowing people who had just relocated into the Kansas City area to come to a gathering and give them what the resources are for newcomers.
Awesome.
So some veteran who might call you might simply be a newcomer.
Exactly. That's a part of it's funny you say newcomer. That goes back to the 12-step program. They have what they call a newcomers meeting. So when you have a group after they get through the finales in there, then they say, okay, who wants to do a newcomers meeting?
Yeah.
And so they take them to another room and where acclimate them in, what the program is about and what some of their challenges and how they might feel. So yeah. Kansas City is a great city with resources, though. When I'm listening at you talking about the resources that are here,
yes, sir.
A lot of cities and states don't have the resources that Kansas City have for helping people that are homeless. And even though some of the treatment centers and some of the other agencies have closed down, but they still have a wealth of resources to help a person even get a job, or even with some health benefits, and even with the VA. And I want to bring this up too, because going back to the correctional part.
Yes, sir.
There are some veterans that are out there that have a case that have probably got a charge for something.
Yes.
They have something that's called vet court.
Oh, yeah, now this is the first time I've heard of vet court.
So vet court, Judge Bland, he's one of my favorite out there. I love listening. And Judge Bland is over there. And they now have expanded it over to Johnson County and then I think Cass County.
Yes.
Also, and what that does is it gives a person that's been struggling with a case or just feel like they want to give up because they might not want to even come in because they feel like they're going to get arrested.
Right.
They have a warrant out for their arrest.
Yes.
Depending on what the charges are. The VA helps with that. That's very important.
That is so important. I really now, we're on the air. I don't know if we're being recorded, but I'm going to take a chance and make a recommendation. But my man, Brother Joel Bailey, I'd love to see you with a show of your own. I mean, this kind of information repeated weekly or something like that. would just really be helpful to so many veterans.
Yes, sir.
And family members of veterans.
Absolutely. There are a lot of family. One of the things is learning how to help or have healthy boundaries with working with anyone, whether that's in recovery or into that. You got to know the do's and the don'ts.
Yes, sir.
When you're working with people.
Yes, sir.
Learning how to be safe, protecting your well-being, your sanity, and things of that nature, and making sure that you're not allowing them to take advantage of you.
Yes, sir.
People will take advantage of other people too
I
in recovery.
I can imagine that.
Those are tough conversations, and those are tough information that has to be said and has to be made, because you're not helping the veteran, you ain't helping yourself, or you're not helping the person in recovery.
Exactly.
Either. So yeah.
And I would suspect there are some things that you would not or prefer not to discuss, but when I had the pleasure of visiting, obviously there was no pandemic at that time.
Exactly.
And I'm just wondering, over time, with your moves and other things that are going on, what has been the evolution of footprints in terms of what you're seeing and how it manifests?
Now, that's a good point there. We were really, really blessed to be able to make a move of such a large scale during the pandemic.
Wow.
It required a lot of safety, hands, gloves, masks, cleaning, all the sterilization, moving people one at a time. Now, the big challenge, what that is when the pandemic was, we were still at the other house.
Right.
Some people paranoia and schizophrenia kicked in.
Yes.
And they end up leaving because they felt like they couldn't stay there. So that was a challenge. And then we had the city lockdown. That really made it tough for a lot of veterans. I can't go nowhere. I'm a grown man. You can't tell me where to go. That kind of. It was tough. And so happened some of them were working at the time, so they was essential workers. So it made it able for some of them to go out. Even when we moved into the new building, we still had the lockdown mode, and so that was pretty tough. Back to, as you hear some people talking about drugs and alcohol, the depression kicks in, the isolation kick in.
I would imagine.
Yeah, being able to keep them engaged and understanding, and then we weren't able to work on their program or their treatment plan as much because the people that we work with to help them get served, whether it be apartment complexes and things of that nature, they were closed. So they feel like they was at a standstill totally. They didn't see where they was going or where. You say you're going to help me get a house. You say you're going to help me get in my apartment. You're going to help me get my birth certificate. You're going to help me get my social security card. You can't do nothing. So, the hope was closed in. The only thing that we somewhat gave them a glimmer of hope was the new building.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new building, and with the apartment being there, we have two people in the room in an apartment now. There used to be two people in a room.
Yes.
But now you got two people to an apartment. They have their own bathroom. We had 10 people with 10 people with 3 bathrooms. Not everybody have their own bathroom.
My goodness.
So
God is good, brother.
Yes.
That is fantastic.
One more thing I forgot to do is acknowledge the groups and people that helped start that. I'm gonna go back.
All right.
Because Christian Fellowship Baptist Church.
All right.
Stan Archie, our pastor, who has been really engaged with not only with recovery, but he also has been a leader in the homeless world and with veterans. So our church as a whole have a lot of people that's been homeless before.
Yes, sir.
We have a lot of veterans that are there at our church.
And Stan Archie's ministry goes beyond just
the walls. It goes way beyond the walls. He's also one of my mentors.
Yes, I can believe it.
Yeah, he helps me, and I try to pride myself in being kind of cool here and there, but there'd be moments where I'm like, oh, I need to give him a call.
That's good. That's good.
And you got to have those resources. When I tell people, you got to have some people to your left, some people to your right that help you.
So often we say, and even on this program, young people, but all people learn more by example than they do by instruction. So that when those to whom you minister see your example, they're more prone to do it.
Right.
So when Joel Bailey gets to that point where you say, I need to call somebody at this point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I talk about that. One of the biggest things is that through my challenges and through my life, I didn't get there by myself.
Come on.
To overcome, didn't come through there.
Yes, sir.
Through God and through the people they put in my place.
Wow.
But I don't put them on a shelf because I feel like now I'm here, I got it.
Come on.
I don't need you no more. You know, just like when I first met you, you know, when I learned about you, when I came here and I knew
Yes,
what
sir.
you stood about, I was like, man, this dude is awesome.
Oh no!
So I watch people from
You are
afar
really
too.
kind. Thank you for
So I
saying
watch
that.
and I listen to the people, see, and I feel that Kansas City embraced me. I'm from Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
And I came, you know, Kansas City had a lot of history.
Yeah.
And you can't just walk in here.
My God.
You know, you got somebody got to bring you in.
Well, I'm glad you said that.
Yes, sir.
My first 38 years were on the south side of Chicago.
Chicago, yes, sir.
Yes, and I came in 1980.
1980.
1980
I was
from
coming out of high
Chicago.
school.
Uh-oh,
I graduated, yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Yes, sir.
Now, as we broach that, I'm glad that we got on that somehow because I was going to ask you about the issue of age as it relates to perhaps trends. Who would you suggest represents your clientele from a generational standpoint?
Yeah. For a long time, most of our veterans were at least 60% of them was over 50.
Yeah.
50. And then the other part of that generation is that another percentage of them, I would say 20, 30 of them are disabled, disability, and can't work.
Yes, sir.
You have some that have their service connected. Some of them might be a full 100%, meaning that they get a nice income from the VA.
Yeah.
In there. The challenge for me and what I love and I would love for us to get better at, and we challenge the worker, is the younger veterans when they come out.
Wow.
Because it's really hard on them after they serve time.
Yeah.
And when they have a fall, it's really hard for them to accept that they're there in a homeless place living with some other guys and they're not having their own life, especially if they've been divorced. You know, they had lost a relationship. They lost cars and houses. Is really, really hard on them. So being able to, once again, learn how to meet them where they're at.
Well, I'm glad that you said that conventional wisdom as it relates to my generation, being 78 years old and looking back, this is what we were criticized for, and it was apt criticism, and particularly as it relates to gender. Young males, young men, found it very difficult to admit to weakness because they were afraid that it made them look like punks.
Exactly.
And here they are grappling with this, and they need somebody, they need something, they need a place to live.
Right.
And now it remains true to a degree, and it also includes females as well as males. But do you find that some of them come scratching and kicking them?
Oh yeah. Even as you're reading, doing the orientation with them and reading the guidelines and rules.
Yeah.
There'd be some things they like, oh, so I can't do this. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to stay here.
Yeah.
And so then at that point in time, you got to meet them where they're at.
Yes, sir.
My main goal is not to have a person blow out.
Absolutely.
It's not to blow out and be able to understand some of the things that where they're at, their challenges, and then try to make understand that there is hope. This is very simple.
I'll bet now maybe you can you can answer it generally or tell specific stories, but one of the things that I will just absolutely bet happens is some of those initially reluctant conformed gladly over time.
Oh yes, we have a lot of great success stories up here. We have a lot of great success stories, and here's the thing: I call it the domino effect.
Okay.
My toughest case, especially when I first started, we was at 3221 Olive, and we had a house full of a lot of Vietnam veterans.
Yeah.
And they were mostly white. Me being African American, young black man walking in, talking about I'm gonna help change their life.
Yes.
And some of them, it didn't really rub well with some of them, and they was hesitant. And they felt like I was telling them what to do.
Well, exactly.
Not, so, and through that time and working with them, I learned how to work with them. And actually, once one gets success, and then that one person keeps coming to me, and you're like, oh, what's next? What's next?
There you go.
They go back on the porch where they smoke cigarettes or drinking coffee.
Yes, sir.
They be like, hey, you know what? I got my birth certificate. You know what? I'm about to get a place.
Wow.
They be like, what? How you do that? Joel helped me. The staff helped me. So the domino effect is once you help a person, despite what their makeup or how resistant they are, when they start seeing success, You have to remember, Vietnam veterans doubted everything.
My God.
And a lot of veterans, that's still today.
Well, yeah.
I run into a lot of veterans that are,
thank you.
They hesitant to believe. They're like, yeah, I hear you. But until it happened.
You know, this is so helpful to me, being a civilian and hearing this from someone who is indeed a veteran. This is not academic or theory. This is the reality. Now, if I expend my tenure and have been satisfied and made the move, does the program, and by the way, sorry, you are hearing the voice of Joel Bailey. Joel Bailey is the director, Footprints, Heroes Homegate, and if you are a veteran or have veterans in your families who are making any kind of transition, it might be a geographic transition, it might be a personality transition, a lifestyle transition.
Exactly.
Give that contact information, then I'll go back to my question.
Yes.
Once more, give the contact.
The contact information, my name is Joel Bailey. The phone number is 816-863-8224, or you can call the office at 816-569-5640.
Thank you so much. And what I was going to ask, and what I'm asking is, do you have clients or residents who return?
Yes.
That does happen.
That does happen. I have repeat, and unfortunately, sometimes we have people that's repeated 3 times.
Okay.
But I also have seen people that repeated that also have left and not returned.
Yes, sir. And the thing is, one of the things that you make me mindful of is that, unfortunately, in one sense, that they've had to come back, but it's very fortunate that you're still there.
Yeah, we're there, and that they were able to make it back.
Yes, sir.
And they was able to get another chance. And our thing is to grasp that moment when they come back, because, of course, some of them feel embarrassed and shame and guilt to show up again, you know, especially the ones that might have left too early, or you might have suggested that, hey, you're doing too much too fast, and, you know, they didn't take some of the suggestions you had, budgeting, you know, life skills, relationships, all those things.
Ooh,
relationships are a number one killer just for anybody every day, you know, in everyday life. But sometimes veterans get people that take advantage of them. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's their own family.
And by the way, as you talk about relationships, and now we're in this pandemic, one of the things that many have to miss, and that general population as well as Footprints, is the opportunity to have those close encounters. And now they grapple with whatever got them there, plus the pandemic.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point there. Yeah, whatever got them there, the family, if they have family. And one thing I encourage them to do is develop a new network.
Okay.
Get outside the boundaries.
Come on.
Get uncomfortable. I know it was shared to me one time, you need to get somewhere where you feel uncomfortable. Get in a group of people that you feel that makes you feel uncomfortable. Meaning, I don't know anything about what they're talking about. This is weird to me. Doing the things that I said weird, but it's a positive spin to that.
Yes.
If I can sit in there, you know, depending on, like me, I have anxiety. So being able to sit in there with anxiety and without not blowing out, feeling, and that's another thing is if you don't feel good about yourself, low self-esteem, you got to take all these things into place. Depending on, and when you do that treatment plan and goal, you're able to look at, wow, this guy got a lot of stuff happening to him.
Well, I'll tell you something that's very interesting about that from an observational standpoint. Joel Bailey doesn't have a 100% wonderful day every day.
Oh, absolutely
now
not.
Joel Bailey is dealing with other people who are having their day as well, depending upon you.
Right. And that's important as our staff. And I tell them, I say, you can't bring, one is we can't bring our life into the job. And and sometimes the other thing is understanding that some veterans relate to another staff member better than they do another one.
Okay.
Be okay with that. There'll be some people that might tell me, I remember early on, a dude said, I don't want to talk to him. And I was like, what do you mean you don't want to talk to me? I'm the director.
Yeah.
And, you know, and learning through the VA and understanding, you know, just meeting a person where they're at. And then they work with another person. But what I did was, instead of getting in my feelings, I watched how the other person that they did want to talk to and said, oh, that's what I should have said. Oh,
this is so good.
Oh, this is how I should have said that. If I want to learn, that's part of learning curve. Now, if I can stay ego or I can say I need to learn how to help this person.
Now, if I hear about you, by the way, if someone were to come to me and ask about today's program, if I were to suggest VA ninth floor, would they recommend you, or how would that go in terms of
What
that
agency to
initial?
go to? Okay, yeah, that's a good question. So there are other agencies that does work for Prince. You have Benel Hall at one time, and then you have Salvation Army over in Kansas that have what is called emergency housing program.
Yeah.
So we're the 3 contracts that have contract with the VA. So some people might want to recommend and want to come to us. I get a lot of people calling. They're here like, Joe, I want to come to me over there. I'm like, well, I can't do that. You can call them. They'll ask me, do you got any beds available? I'm like, well, I can't give you that kind of, that's privileged information.
Yes.
We can't give you that. But then they'll find out through another veteran was there, and they be like, yeah, I heard they had 2 beds open over there. So they'll call it to the VA and say, hey, I want to come over to Footprints, you know.
Yes.
But my thing is to acknowledge all people that serve veterans agency.
Yes.
Because we collaborate together. What one can't do, the other one does.
You know, it is. I'm glad you said that, because I was just thinking as you spoke about Reverend Thomas Linden Jr. Now, American Legion 149 has a tremendous black history. I became acquainted with them through Sidney Malone at the time. But Reverend Thomas Linden Jr., such high character, and you met Gerald Caldwell, DFW
Awesome.
8100.
Thank you for that connection.
We have the relationship with the Buffalo Soldiers Motorcycle Club.
Yeah, I got a connection. Matter of fact, they're going to be a part of the one that's over in Kansas side. They are coming over to help with our dinner.
When?
I think it's the 16th.
Man.
Yeah, I just talked to them this morning. So you brought up another point. The posts are such a unique part of our working with the veterans, because you get the old and the young, and you get these people that know more about what's going on with the veterans than I do.
Yes.
And I'm throwing another church out there. I say a Christian Fellowship, which is stand, but also Christ Community is out in Leawood.
Yes.
Call it the Urban Suburban. They have been major contributors to a lot of things that we've done. They've helped with vehicles repairs. They've helped with materials. Had members that they donate privately to us.
Say that church
Christ
again.
Community. Christ Community is located out in Leawood, but they also have satellite churches that are located in Brookside, downtown, Shawnee Mission, and Olathe. Back to the urban, suburban. Sometimes you hear people, white and black community, and they just show up and just for big stuff like paint houses and stuff like that. But we have a real great intimate relationship.
That is so good.
And,
I think Christ Community might have hosted my Liberian family at one point. And,
yes, they are great, and you have a great veteran family out there too.
Outstanding.
So when we first got the house on 2015, they came in, and a couple of those guys that own construction companies or whatever, they came and inspected the house after the VA inspected it.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and they gave me all kind of pointers. They sent me to people like Anthony's Heating Cooling. The guy they had friendships with. They came in, did pro bono work, did all the stuff in there. So relationships, back to relationships, and staying diverse.
Yes.
And open, whether you're Christian, not Christian, Muslim, same sex. Those are a lot of things that
black,
white,
Native
black.
American,
we
Asian.
We serve a diverse population.
Yes,
there.
sir.
Yeah, we have all walks of veterans in there that's been sexual traumatized and all kind of different things. And if we don't walk with what they say in a judgment-free zone,
come on,
then they won't be able to help them.
See, and this is interesting that you said that the young people with whom I work come into an arena to which we refer as a safe zone.
Safe
and
zone.
What does
I like that.
Safe mean? That means, as Joel Bailey says, I'll take you where you are.
That's right.
And non-judgmental.
Yeah, judgmental.
Now, being non-judgmental does not mean being permissive.
That's right. And it can be some things that people, like you say, they do I might not agree with, or some things of that nature. And
absolutely,
as you work with them, or how close you get to them in certain things, those discussions would take place maybe with me. or maybe with their psychiatrist, depending on what the subject matter is.
Yes, sir.
But being able to identify some things that could be like, this could be causing you a problem.
Wow.
And you might want to look a little closer at
Yes,
this.
sir.
If you want to just put a block on it, it's going to come back and revisit you.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is totally unfair, man. We're coming to the end of the
That's
hour.
It's good.
And there's there's just so much.
It is. It is.
And I want to make sure before we get out of here that Joel Bailey says what Joel Bailey came to say, in case I didn't broach it. But let me ask right quick. Now someone finds themselves at the Greyhound bus station from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and don't know what to do, and they're looking around and they're asking people, is there a number I can call? Is there a place I can go? Now, when they are going to be, quote, vetted, unquote.
Right, good point.
Would you be able to recommend, look, I can tell you a place you might be able to stay tonight and then observe these protocols to come to us?
Right. Good point there, because sometimes until they can get vetted, one would be Kansas City Rescue Mission, Shelter KC.
There you go.
We try to have other resources. You don't want to say if you're not a veteran, even people that are not veterans. I still, because our first love was recovering homelessness before we got into the veteran work. So we're always trying to work with people that are homeless, especially with women and kids. That's a big one. That's one that really breaks me up.
I am going to offer your number. I did not know it at the time, and I talked about Rebecca Bradley.
Miss Bradley, yeah.
But Brother Randy was on.
Randy, yeah. Randy, is that Don? Not Randy. Yeah, Randy.
Yes. Well, there was a young, reasonably young brother. I guess he was in his 30s. He had a family, and he was on Paseo, right off of 70 when I was exiting.
Okay.
And I got to know him because oftentimes when I get a chance to meet somebody who's homeless,
sure.
One brother turned out that he and I had played basketball against each
Small
other
world.
in Chicago.
It
was crazy, man. We had a good conversation.
Wow, that's awesome.
But this particular brother, when I rolled down the window and asked him his name, he told me his name, and I said, "Are you by any chance a vet?" And he said, "No, sir, I'm not." And I said, "Okay, no problem." I was getting ready to drive off. The light was still red. I said, "Oh, do you have any veterans in your family?" And he said, my dad was a vet. So I said, "Let me give you a number." So when you just said that is so important to our listeners, when you said you don't necessarily have to be a vet to get a recommendation from Footprint.
Yeah, a person, I've learned to try to get many resources I can because, I'll consider myself a foot soldier. So
Yes,
I'm out here,
sir.
I go to and fro. And I want to mention one other thing that I didn't mention, that Ivanhoe neighborhood. So we're located in Ivanhoe neighborhood.
That's right.
Miss Nyla, Dr. Boyd, they are big, major supporters of what we do. We are now working together on a capital campaign. We have purchased the land next to the property you had that you visited in 2015.
Yes, sir.
So we're working on building a new building now too.
And let me say that Dr. Boyd is no relations. I don't want somebody to give me some credit that I don't deserve. But that is so important. With a minute and a half, maybe, is there anything you want to close us out with that is important from your perspective?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that we keep supporting you and Mr.
Thank
Walker
you.
here at the radio
God bless
station
you.
here. This is my first time being here at the radio station, but
Exactly.
you and I have been knowing this for a while, and it's a great place here to be. If you want to come somewhere where you can be able to get some information out and be able to help the community, let's do that. In a time that and let's not give up hope.
Thank you.
Make sure that I do my part on helping people. So if you have any questions about veterans, footprints, or homeless, or people that are dealing with drugs and alcohol, feel free to reach out to Footprints. And you can go to our website, www.heroeshomegate.org or www.kcfootprints.org. And you'll be able to get the information and look at the website and look at some of the things we're doing.
That's outstanding. Male, female.
Yes, sir.
Young, old.
Oh, that's right.
Hispanic, Native American, Asian, white, black,
Yes, sir.
If you are a veteran, you have served, you deserve.
You deserve.
Praise God.
Amen.
Joel Bailey.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so
Mr.
very,
Boyd.
very much.
Yeah, yes, sir.
The
Pleasure.
name of our program is Wave Your Grades. My name is Carl Boyd. I have the pleasure of being your host on Saturdays right here on KUAW.org. Louis George Walker in 40 seconds or fewer. Can you tell our listeners how they access KUAW.org?
Yes, you can pick us up now as KUAW Radio on Instagram, Facebook, Periscope, Twitter. And you can also get us on our own audio-only site, which is www.kuaw.org. Or if you have the TuneIn app, you can get us on that.
All right. Thank you so very much. Now, one of the things that we do every day is a word to students. To students across the USA, your Stoots for Boots message for this day, November 14th. We see footage of warriors carrying each other and think that's just what they do. Students, please know that what they do carries the rest of us too.
Wow.
My name is Carl Boyd, gracious God and wonderful
Amen.
Wanda.
Amen.
I'm on my way home.
Yes.